how to go from a problem to a solution and ultimately to a plan. So I'm going to tell you about an approach called the solution map. And this is another really simple approach that will help you get to the outcome you need to when you have a problem that's you've come across on a project and a client is demanding something of you, or you need to make a significant change which is really challenging to do in a potentially a short space of time, so you need to come up with other options. So first of all, let me just explain to you what a solution map is. So it's an approach to help you move from a problem to a solution quickly without, in some cases, going into all the detail that is required of a big change on a project. And it helps you create multiple versions of what the outcome could be. So that reduces the pressure of having to find that perfect solution, or in some cases, like I've experienced, a client demanding pretty much everything and it's just not realistic. And it also, wherever possible you can do this, it really does encourage you and your client, or it might be with your team, to actually work closely together to come up with what that solution might be, whether it's an interim run or a final one. And it can help you move to a workable solution faster, because sometimes when there's a big change, it takes a lot of conversations, a lot of change, and then that can take a long time as well. But by doing this approach, in some situations, it can help you get to a solution faster because you don't need to go as far as you thought you did. And you can also use it, it's not just about problems, you can use it on improvements. You can look at, right, we need to make some improvements to this process, or this has been particularly challenging, what can we do? Or just being proactive in terms of improvements. It's not just about problems. And you can use a solutions map on your own. You can just sit there trying to come up with ideas of what this approach could be. You don't have to be in a room full of people or with your team or your client or whoever that might be. You can do it in a one-to-one, you can do it in a group, and you can do it on your own as well. So let me take you through an example of what a solutions map could be. And then with this introduction and then me taking you through it, you should be then start thinking about, well, what could I use the solution map for? So, current problem, ideal solution. This example is where a client is just not happy with the quality of the latest version of the app that you've just released. So you are the agency and then you're working with a client. There's too many bugs have been spotted, which they expect your team to have found and fixed before you go live. And the problem isn't fixing these bugs, it's just not having the test coverage to prevent this from happening again. So you don't have enough testers or the right type of testers or the right automation tools in place to be able to have the high enough quality to stop this happening again. It's very likely it'll happen again. So that problem looks like that. High number of bugs, manual testers, long testing phase, open to human error. If you want to release anything, it takes at least 3 weeks. And that is not what the client is wanting right now. And then you've got the ideal solution. So this is what the client is asking for. We need 2 automated testers, which you don't have. We want 75% automated coverage when it comes to testing. We want a CI running, which is continuous integration. We want weekly releases. And you're sat there going, we've got no chance. We haven't got the right people. We haven't got the right platform. But there's been misunderstandings and sort of expectations have been set on this is the type of quality and type of service that you're going to be providing. So you're in a really difficult position. So what you need to do, in this example, with your team, on a whiteboard or Miro board or anything else you can contribute to, you've got on the far left-hand side, you list out the common problem like you've got here. And on the far right-hand side of the map, you've got what is the ideal solution. That might be your ideal solution, it might be a client's, it doesn't matter, but what is our ideal solution? Because now you need to create incremental changes to improve from your current problem to get to your ideal solution, or at least closer to it. And what that means is, you're like, okay, well, what's the next version we could create for this in terms of improving, getting as close as that ideal solution? And that might be, well, actually, we are going to bring on 1 automation tester. And within a few weeks, we should have 25% automation coverage or automated coverage. And with that, we think that release test phase should come down to about 2.5 weeks, and we'll implement some automated reporting as well. So it's definitely an improvement of what you've got, and you feel it's realistic with the time frame as well. And then you can create version 2. So, okay, well, we will bring in 2 automation testers because that is the expectation that we set at the start, and we're going to agree to do it, whether that's a cost to your company or not. This, again, it's just an example. And we'll be up to 50% automated coverage. Release phase should come down to about 1.5 weeks. We'll have a continuous integration strategy agreed and a plan for how we're going to implement that as well. So what you've got here now is a very, very high level plan. You're not committed to it yet, but you've already got some incremental improvements. So you're showing to the client, we are listening to you. We understand this is a problem. Now, it's not always easy to be able to move to that ideal solution, obviously. So you want to be able to bring this client on the journey, or whoever you are working with, to come up with some other versions. Now, you can use it to increase the chances of a client or your stakeholder agreeing to an interim solution rather than demanding it's all fixed in one go. And the reason why you're more likely to get that is because, one, you've already listened to them. You said, yeah, we understand that is the ideal solution. That's where we want to get to. That's our target. But we need to be realistic about how long that takes to be able to get to that point. And by involving them, they are part of that solution. And it's harder for the client to push back as you're giving them options. You're showing that, yeah, we're going to move forward. We're listening to you. This is what we're going to do. So they're more likely to agree to that version 1, as an example here, in the short term. And I've only put 2 versions on there, but you might have 3, 4, you might even have 5. It really depends on what you're talking about. And what you can say to help as well, because if the client is pushing back, because sometimes the clients you work with, they just simply don't understand what this means, like how difficult it is to move from where you are now to where they want to be. So you give them context, you give them reasons. We're saying we're planning this across a period of time, because then what you can say with the client is this approach is being planned across a period of time because we want to monitor how well it's going, how well it's improving things. We want to reduce the risk of a big bang approach. So you're already saying to them, come on, this is the right thing to do. Plus you can say, again, just in this example, you can simultaneously work on other aspects of the app, features that we said we would develop, so it doesn't impact their current release plans, or certainly not in a significant way, versus the other way. If you want to get to that perfect, we're going to have to drop everything. It's not as simple as just adding another 5 devs and testers and things like that onto it. That's not going to be possible. So you talk about the reasons why and the benefits why you want to move slowly but sensibly towards an improved approach, again using this as an example. Plus, sometimes getting to that version 1 or version 2, or if you've got 3 or 4 versions, sometimes that's enough. You don't need to go any further because they then understand the process, they understand and they've seen the improvements. So they go, okay, great, no, that's fine, let's move on, let's focus our time on something else. So you haven't jumped the gun, you haven't rushed in and just said yes, 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 and you just dropped everything and it's chaos. You've shown that you're going to listen to them, you've shown that you're going to improve, you start to make those improvements, and often that can be enough. So in summary, use the solutions map to help you find a next logical and achievable step. As I said, don't just jump the gun and go all out for that final solution. Start with that solution map to prevent you getting into the detail too fast. Because it is high level, it's very, very clear. Everyone should be able to understand what you're talking about when you have a solutions map, because it is purposely high level. And you're much, much more likely then to be able to get to a decision and a direction, and then you can move into the detail of implementation. It's not saying that you do a solutions map, then everything's agreed, signed off, done. There's always other steps you need to take, but it's a really good way to get you to that decision quickly. And you can use solutions map to increase collaboration, with your team or your client, because the more you involve people in the decisions, the more likely they're going to be able to commit to them versus just sending over an email saying we can't do this or yes or no to that. It makes it too easy for them. And use solutions maps to educate your client on what's possible. Like I was giving that example there. As you're talking through these steps, you can add on that extra bit of context about why you're doing it and why this other option might not be the best right now. And use solutions maps to improve your working relationships with your clients. That just comes naturally. The more you work with someone, the more you listen to them, like I was saying at the start, the more you come up with solutions together, naturally your relationships are going to improve because you're involving them. It just makes such a big difference versus, like I was saying before, you just send an email. No, we can't do this. Yes, we can do this. Or we're doing it on a call. People just don't have enough information, enough context. So they'll just go back to, no, this is what I want, make it happen. And then it gets really, really difficult. So that's solutions maps. Quick one, simple. Use it for many, many different ways to plan from a problem to a solution, or just if you want to improve a process or a relationship. It could be absolutely anything.